I raised my stepdaughter for 5 years, and she still told me I wasn't her real mom, so I exposed her father's darkest secret and reunited her with the mother he claimed was deadbeat. But I did it in front of her entire school, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. The words "you're not my real mom and you never will be" hit me like a slap across the face as I stood in Mia's doorway holding the birthday cake I'd spent 3 hours decorating. She was 16, furious that I'd grounded her for sneaking out, and those 8 words shattered something inside me that I didn't even know was fragile. I'd been married to Derek for 4 years, in Mia's life for 5. I'd driven her to soccer practice, helped with homework, stayed up all night when she had pneumonia, and loved her like she was mine. But in her eyes, I was just a woman who'd stolen her dad from her real family. Derek had full custody because Mia's birth mother Lisa was unstable and had abandoned them. That's all he'd ever told me, and I'd never pushed for details. But standing there watching Mia throw my homemade cake in the trash while screaming that I'd never be her family, something vindictive and ugly reared up in my chest. I'd always suspected there was more to the Lisa story. Derek got weird whenever her name came up, changing the subject or leaving the room. His family never talked about her either, just vague references to what happened and how poor Derek had been through so much. But I'd been the understanding wife, never prying into his past pain. The breaking point had been building for months. Mia comparing me to her real mom constantly, throwing tantrums when I tried to set boundaries, telling me I had no right to parent her because I wasn't blood. Derek always took her side, saying I needed to be more understanding because she was processing trauma. But what trauma? From what I could see, Lisa had just walked away when Mia was 12, and Derek had been the devoted single father ever since. Mia talked about her mom like she was some martyred saint who'd been wronged, but never explained what actually happened. That night, after Mia slammed her door and Derek gave me his usual "she doesn't mean it" speech, I made a decision that would destroy everything. I was going to find out exactly why Lisa wasn't in the picture, and maybe it was time Mia learned the truth about her precious real mom. It took me 2 weeks of digging through Derek's old files while he was at work. Bank statements, legal documents, emails printed and stuffed in boxes he thought I'd never touch. What I found made my stomach turn, but also filled me with a sick sense of vindication. Lisa hadn't abandoned them. Derek had orchestrated her disappearance from their lives through a campaign of financial abuse and legal manipulation that was breathtaking in its cruelty. The emails showed Derek systematically isolating Lisa from friends and family, controlling every dollar she spent, threatening to take Mia away if she left him. When Lisa finally got the courage to file for divorce, Derek had used his connections as a successful contractor to hide assets, drain their joint accounts, and hire a ruthless lawyer who painted Lisa as mentally unfit. The final blow was Derek getting Lisa arrested on trumped-up drug charges, planting pills in her car, and calling the police. She'd spent 6 months in jail fighting the charges while Derek got emergency custody and moved 3 states away. By the time Lisa was cleared, we were already together, and Derek had convinced everyone that she'd abandoned her daughter for drugs. The most damning evidence was recent. Lisa had been trying to contact Mia for years, sending letters and gifts that Derek intercepted. Birthday cards, Christmas presents, desperate notes begging just to know if her daughter was okay. Derek had kept them all in a box labeled tax documents, probably as insurance in case Lisa ever tried to fight him legally. I sat in our bedroom at 2 a.m., surrounded by evidence of my husband's systematic destruction of a woman's life, and felt my world tilt on its axis. The man I'd married wasn't the devoted single father he portrayed himself as. He was a monster who'd stolen a child from her mother and convinced everyone, including me, that he was the victim. But instead of confronting Derek, instead of demanding answers or threatening divorce, I made a choice that would haunt me forever. I photocopied everything and drove to Mia's school the next day. I found her at lunch, sitting with her friends, still ignoring me from our fight the night before. I walked up to her table and placed the folder in front of her, my hands shaking with adrenaline and righteous anger. "You want to know about your real family?" I said, loud enough for her friends to hear. "Your dad's been lying to you for 4 years. Your mom didn't abandon you. He destroyed her life and stole you away, and these are the letters she's been sending you that he never gave you." Mia's face went white as she opened the folder and saw her mother's handwriting, 4 years' worth of birthday cards addressed to her. Around us, her friends leaned in to look, and I realized I'd just humiliated my stepdaughter in front of her entire social circle. "She's been trying to reach you this whole time," I continued, the words pouring out like poison. "She never stopped loving you. Your dad is the one who abandoned family." Mia didn't come home that night. Derek found her at her friend's house, catatonic from shock and clutching her mother's letters. When he dragged her home and saw the photocopies I'd left on his desk, the look he gave me was pure hatred. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he said, his voice deadly quiet. Do you understand what you've just destroyed? But I was past caring about his feelings. I destroyed your lies. Maybe Mia deserves to know why her mother really isn't here. The next morning, Mia was gone. She'd taken Derek's credit card and bought a bus ticket to find Lisa, using Facebook to track down her mother's current address. Derek called the police, but an 18-hour bus ride gave a desperate mother and daughter time to reunite before anyone could stop them. The custody battle that followed was swift and brutal. Lisa had kept every piece of evidence of Derek's abuse, every legal document showing how he'd manipulated the system. With Mia's testimony about wanting to live with her mother and my evidence of Derek's lies, the court reversed custody within 6 months. Derek blamed me for everything. Not just for exposing his secrets, but for being the catalyst that tore his world apart. He built his entire identity around being Mia's devoted father, and now she wanted nothing to do with him. You couldn't just leave it alone, he screamed during one of our final fights. She was happy not knowing. We were a family, and you destroyed it because your feelings got hurt. But the real destruction was just beginning. Derek's business partners found out about the court case, about the financial abuse and manipulation that had been exposed during custody proceedings. Clients started canceling contracts, worried about his ethics. His reputation in our small town was shredded. I thought I'd feel vindicated watching Derek lose everything, but instead I felt hollow. Mia wasn't speaking to either of us. She blocked my number and refused to see Derek at all, starting fresh with the mother he'd stolen from her. I'd wanted to hurt him for lying to me, but I'd ended up hurting her too. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. Derek had to sell the house to pay Lisa's legal fees and back child support. I moved into a cramped apartment and started therapy, trying to understand why I'd chosen to destroy a 16-year-old girl's sense of reality instead of confronting my husband privately. My therapist asked me point blank, did you expose Derek's lies because Mia deserved the truth, or because you wanted to hurt her for rejecting you? The honest answer made me sick. I'd used that girl's trauma as a weapon in my own petty war, and told myself I was doing the right thing. Mia graduated high school living with Lisa. I saw the photos on social media, a beautiful girl smiling next to the mother she'd been stolen from, and felt a stab of something between regret and loss. I'd helped reunite them, but I'd also traumatized a child in the cruelest way possible, in front of her friends, because she'd hurt my feelings. Derek moved across the country and changed his name. Last I heard, he was working construction under an alias, trying to escape the reputation that followed him after everything came out. He never tried to contact Mia again, and she never tried to contact him. I see Lisa at the grocery store sometimes. She nods politely but never speaks to me, and I don't blame her. I'm the woman who was married to her abuser, who lived in the house he bought with money he stole from her, who helped raise the daughter he kidnapped from her through legal manipulation. Worse, I'm the woman who chose to detonate that girl's entire world in the most public, humiliating way possible instead of finding a way to gently reunite a mother and daughter who'd been kept apart by lies. Mia was right that day when she said I wasn't family. Real family protects each other, even when they're hurting you. Real family doesn't use a child's deepest trauma as ammunition in their own battles. I never got to be anyone's real mom, and after what I did to the only daughter I ever had, I never deserved to be.